Well, we met the summer before we went to college. We were at a summer conference. She happened to come home with my sister, and at that conference I happened to have had 2 evenings that I spent with her girlfriend.
And I spent several with his boyfriend.
And so she came with my sister to Michigan. And
to visit Jim, actually.
we were just friends. And then my friend, she went to Taylor, and her friend, who was our pastor's son, and
At that
I grew
time.
up with him. And he went to Wheaton College.
And we went to Nyack College.
We went to Nyack. Bad stroke of luck for them.
And since we kind of knew each other a little bit, because I'd known his sister and stayed with her in their home, you know, we just casually went out to a meeting at the college, just, you know, as friends.
Well, let's put it this way. I was her third date at the college.
Oh, yeah.
Which means there were 2 other tryouts before.
And I'd been there
me.
like 2 weeks. I mean, it was awful. It was before you knew how to say no. Do you remember those days? And you had these guys saying, you know, I was 17. What did I know? Not much. I went with him to this meeting, a missions meeting. He sat 2 rows behind me and giggled the whole, made, you know. And I didn't want to be where I was to begin with, and then that was just funny. But we just started out really as friends, you know, and we were young. I was 17 when I went to college. I think you had just turned 18. So, you know, it just kind of happened. And we just got along and started going together and went together 3 years. Well, you had to at Nyack in those days. You had to have 3 years in before you could get married.
I asked her dad. I got a nice written reply from him, and it was on.
So it was in Ohio, in our church, on August 28th,
1954.
1954. Beautiful evening. I went down to New York City when I was a student, got my dress in New York City, and they made it to fit. I didn't know, I thought everybody did that. I come to find out they didn't, but I think back in the day I paid a lot for that gown, which I thought everybody did, but they didn't.
We went down on the same day. She went with my sister to buy or order the dress, and I went to a diamond store.
Which I didn't know.
Which was just a little store run by groups of people from...
Sold a lot of diamonds to kids at Nyack.
Yeah. And so she didn't know that I bought the diamond that day.
I didn't.
But I did. We were married at the end of August, and college classes began within the next week or so. So our honeymoon was drive back to Nyack from Warren, Ohio, by way of Niagara Falls, which was a common destination for many young couples.
In those days.
And so we stopped there for, I think, 2 days and went on to college.
And I went to work and he went to school.
I accepted an appointment to a new church just outside of Lansing, Michigan. And we were there for about 3 years. And during that time, I finished my master's degree at Michigan State.
And we lived behind the church. They built this little church, and they had this little apartment behind it.
The church rented a residence for us. And we moved twice within the first couple years. And on the third move, we moved into an apartment in the back of the little church that we built during those first 2 years. So we moved 3 times in the 3.5 years that we were there.
We were really trying to help the church with their situation. But that was, you know, for somebody who grew up like I did, that was a real learning experience for me. And I look back on that and think, that was really good.
For our first 15 years of married life, I was in the active ministry, pastor or assistant pastor. Near the end of that 15 years, I accepted a call to go to our national offices of the Christian and Missionary Alliance, where I was in administration in the church for 16 years in New York City and in Nyack. I was in Nyack and at the headquarters offices for 16 years. Then I accepted a call to go to Crown College, which had another name when I went, as Dean of Students. I was Dean for 2 years and then became President for 10 years.
And I did financial aid for all those years.
So we worked together very closely during those years.
And with young people, it was great. It was just great. And I follow them even to this day. I mean, it's, you know, I see their names, I say, I remember them. It's great.
We have hundreds of people who are now 50 years old and grandparents, some of them, that were freshmen when we first went to Crown College in 1985. After I retired from Crown College, we were asked to go to Trinity College of Florida, which is a small Bible school that was on its knees, ready to close. I felt after I had been there just a little while, what's wrong with trying to keep the college that graduated Billy Graham still alive, you know? And so we were able to do that, and it's still going along today, not bursting any heights, but it's still turning out students to preach the gospel in the 4 corners of the earth.
And they knew nothing about financial aid. So I got them, so I don't want to, but I was able to get them federal and state aid just because of what I had known, which the woman there was great. The financial aid director there was great, but she didn't know any of that. And so we were able to get state grant and federal grant and really help students get there. And so it started growing, which was
So what turned out to be a 3-month experience for us turned out to be 7 years.
We have built a wonderful life together, and I wouldn't trade it. It's been great, right?
Yes.
Say yes, yes.
When you're in the church ministry, you are together. You know, the time that you spend there and the people that you are working with are your life. That's what you do. That's what you participate in, people's lives.
So we made a good choice, I think. I've never regretted what we've done. No regrets.